This is huge. Andrew Kittredge back in a rehab assignment at single A, and Zach Eflin at single A dominates as well. Hello, everybody. I'm Jon Leiberman. This is Orioles Digest. We all know what a disappointing season this has been to this point, but we hope to have some good news here. I'm going to go over Zach Eflin's appearance down on the farm at single A Aberdeen. We also have Andrew Kittredge, who came back today and had an appearance down at Aberdeen as well. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to Ramon Urias' injury. Kobe Mayo is up. So really a lot to cover. And, it's no secret that, the Orioles have not been good. In fact, they've been bad. These are the statistics going into today's game, and today's game was a power barrage. We're going to get to all of that. My colleague Cam Bryce is going to cover that. But if you look at the Orioles, obviously 27th in record. The team ERA is near the bottom of the league. The rotation ERA, the starters, near the bottom of the league. The team OPS near the bottom of the league, and really team OPS with runners in scoring position and team average with runners in scoring position. We know each of these things have been absolutely horrible for the Orioles, and it's a chicken and egg, right? The lineup hasn't done much at all until today, and again, Cam will get to that, but prior to today's game, the lineup hasn't done hardly anything, which puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the pitching. And, we know that. And I would argue that lately the pitching has been, dare I say, serviceable. And we're going to get to Sagano in a moment because I've been very impressed with Sagano's numbers. But first, I want to go down to the farm, and I want, with a piece of very good news, which is Zach Eflin down on the farm today. Yes, this is single A, but this may be Zach's only outing as a rehab assignment. It could be. And he was splendid. 4 innings pitched, no runs on 2 hits. He walked a couple, struck out 4. He threw 58 pitches. And what a relief if Zach Eflin can come back and be Zach Eflin. This would take a huge load off of the minds of many Orioles fans, because at least then, if you can have Zach go out every 5th day and hopefully dominate, well, now you're talking about something, because in addition to Zach, we have to talk about this guy, Tomoyuki Sagano, because Sagano has been outstanding as well. So if you get a healthy Zach Eflin back, and now you also have Tomoyuki Sagano, who has a 3-run ERA, we might as well throw up his stats for a moment. So Tomoyuki, as you can see, 13 earned runs. His record, but his ERA right at 3, his WHIP right above 1. And so these are, I would say, if you told us at the beginning of the season that this is what you were going to get out of Sagano, I think a lot of people would be thrilled by this. And so if you get Zach Eflin back, a healthy Zach, you follow him up with Sagano. Dean Kramer has shown strokes of brilliance. He did the other night against Kansas City in that victory where he looked really good. Now all of a sudden you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, if the Orioles can string together some wins, maybe, just maybe, they can dig themselves out of, as I go through everything, there's Zach again. Maybe, just maybe, they can dig themselves out of these horrible stats going into today's game, where basically, certainly lower third in everything, but damn near the bottom in record ERA, rotation ERA, and those numbers with hitters in scoring position. And if we're going to talk about hitters for a second, you got to look at this. This is before today again, but the Birds have been shut out 5 times this season. That's 15.6% of the time. Almost 16% of the time, the Birds have been shut out. Meantime, if you look between 2023 and 2024, the Birds were only shut out a combined 17 times, which is roughly 5% of the time. And this stat really tells the tale right now of the Birds' bats are either hot, like they were today, and again, my colleague is going to do a piece later about the barrage of homers today with Jackson, with Ryan, with Seti, and hitting the cover off the ball. But conversely, when they're cold, which is more often than not getting shut out 16% of the time, this is very, very, very bad news. Now, there was also other news down at the farm today. We talked about Sagano, Andrew Kittredge, who the Orioles do need back badly. Obviously, we haven't gotten a taste of what Kittredge is capable of in an Orioles uniform, but we know what he's capable of writ large, and that is to be a real stop-down guy, right, in out of the bullpen. Kittredge made a minor league appearance today, too. We'll take a look at those numbers. He was at Aberdeen. Andrew had an inning. It was 14 pitches, a run on 2 hits, but 2 Ks. So, again, not a bad outing for Andrew Kittredge as he tries to make his way back from injury and should. And so if you start to think about things, right, and look, none of this kind of helps the lineup, but if you get Kittredge back and healthy, and you get Zach back and healthy, maybe, just maybe, if the Birds don't start many games in the hole by 2 runs, 3 runs, 4 runs, 5 runs, then maybe it takes a little bit of that pressure off of the lineup and will enable them to relax and hit, because I would say right now the hitting is a much bigger problem than the pitching. That's what I think. I think the numbers bear that out, particularly the clutch hitting. Now, I get Kyle Gibson has been less than spectacular. I get that Morton has struggled mightily. I get all of that. But there are signs of hope, especially the way Zach pitched it. Again, I know it's single A. The way Zach pitched at single A, you get him back over the next week or 2. You have Sagano pitching solid. Hopefully Dean Kramer keeps up the momentum. Now all of a sudden you're looking at a staff that at least could go out on most days and give your team a chance to win if they start hitting, and if they start hitting with runners in scoring position. Unfortunately, Ramon Urias has been scratched now. He's hurt. Unclear how long he's going to be out, but Kobe Mayo is now up. So in that respect, the lineup isn't getting any help. But if Jackson Holliday, like he did today with 2 homers, and as I said, Cam Bryce is going to cover that a little later, but if Jackson can really bring it, now all of a sudden you're talking about hopefully stringing together some victories. I'm Jon Leiberman. This is Orioles Digest.